Hey there everyone, back again with another video. In this video we are going to learn about Ionic 4 ecosystem, right? So in the previous video we have already learned about what is Ionic and a little bit brief introductions of Ionic frameworks and the use case of Ionic frameworks, right? So if you still not watched my previous video and then go ahead into my YouTube channel and just watch it, this second part of this Ionic 4, right? So for those who are new and they watch this video first time, so I just want to tell you that this is Ionic 4 web series that I have started. If you still not subscribe my YouTube channel, then go ahead and subscribe my YouTube channel and press bell notifications icon, so you cannot miss any kind of the update from my channel. So I'm daily regularly in the 2 days I upload a new video on Ionic 4, and I'm going to cover whole Ionic frameworks and upcoming versions of Ionic framework as well. So stay tuned with me. I'll be updated you with each and every update from Ionic 4, right? So let's get started. In this video we are going to learn about Ionic 4 ecosystems, right? So right now this Ionic is work with the different components. So let's little bit brief introductions of Ionic 4 ecosystems. So let's get started with this. So in this video that what is Ionic ecosystems? So basically whenever you write some code in your Ionic applications, so this is your source code, whatever you write for your business logics that you have, like you want to create some kind of the mobile applications. For that you have to write some business logic for that. So this is your code, and you need to use any kind of the front-end frameworks, and it's totally optional. There is not any kind of the predefined set like you must have to use Angular. It's there in the previous versions, like in the Ionic 3, 2 and 1. This previous 3 version is totally dependent on Angular, but in the Ionic 4 this is one of the major release, and in this release they have introduced a backend support with Angular, React and Vue, right? So this is a top leading framework right now in the market for the front-end technologies, right? So this 3 technologies that support with this Ionic 4 projects, right? So if you are from React development community and if you know React very well and you want to create a mobile applications and use the Ionic inside that, so you just definitely just inject your library with Ionic, so you can work with that things, right? So there is no barrier with Angular only. It was in the past, but right now it's not. That is one of the major update from Ionic 4 versions, right? So you must have to use any kind of the backend frameworks. That's not a backend from server side, but it's some kind of the front-end framework for your code implementations, your actual business logic implementations. It's like Ionic is basically a front-end frameworks which gives you a web component for its look and feel as like a web component, and that web component it's actually interact with the any backend framework. We can say backend in the sense this 3 frameworks like Angular, React and Vue, and that framework actually implement your business logic. As like for an example, if you have a button component and whenever the user press on the button, so you write certain logic is like you can call API, you can perform certain logic, like you certain value that you have to change. For that you need some kind of the frameworks like Angular, React and Vue. And apart from that you can also use a vanilla JavaScript at here if you don't want to use any kind of this free 3 framework and you want a core JavaScript code with an Ionic component as well. So you just use as well. Right now there is no barrier, any kind of the dependency, like you must have to know about this some of these 3 frameworks, right? And the third one is that Ionic come with totally a web-based component. As like you can see that the button in Ionic it's also a component. If you are using any kind of the color shade, that also kind of the component. If you use any kind of the alert component from the Ionic frameworks, that's also a component which provided by default with Ionic, right? So Ionic is a very wide library of component, but still if you want to create your own component, then you can use the Stencil.js. basically it's Ionic products, we can say that it's Ionic project, which is basically used for creating a component for Ionic, right? So if you want to create your own component, is HTML component, HTML and JavaScript and CSS component, and you want to inject in your library with Ionic, then you definitely write your code in the stencil.js and then import into the components, right? So now you understand that Ionic components built with the stencil, and we are using a backend framework like React, Vue and Angular, and we write our code, and that code basically create our applications, and that applications connect with Capacitor and Cordova. This is basically a bridge that we have already learned these things in our past video. In the previous video that we have brief introductions of Capacitor and Cordova, but in this video that I will cover a little bit of it, that how it's actually interact with this your mobile device native APIs, right? So Capacitor is basically Ionic products that and Cordova also basically a bridge between your native device and your web code, right? So if you writing some kind of the click event, and based on this click event, if you open a camera and click the pictures on it, right? So that's kind of the performance that you need a Cordova and Capacitor. Is like, you know, when you click on it, so basically Capacitor or Cordova call that click into the native device, native understandable code, and then it fire into your mobile device, and it gives the signals to that mobile device, hey, open the camera of it, because that is a signal that coming from this web application. So this is a web applications, and this is JavaScript code, and that command that convert things into the Capacitor and Cordova, and it will create your native base applications. Is Android and iOS and progressive web as well, right? So this is kind of the ecosystems of Ionic 4 frameworks, and this whole ecosystem that work for creating this mobile applications. And if you still not in any part that you have any questions about these things, and just go ahead in my comment sections and comment there. I definitely answer your questions, and please share this video with your friend that they wanted to really want to learn Ionic 4 frameworks. So that's it from this video. I will catch up in the next